Unless you book some big name fighter or you have 17 fighters on your show, nobody gives a fuck about your personal opinion. So you have to somehow muster something, trying to figure it out.
Stir the pot.
Because everything you've ever done has never worked out for you. That's how these guys operate. And it doesn't end well for any of them because they don't have any talent. Nobody's paying attention. So they have to book big guests or they have to talk shit about Joe Rogan just to get views. Because if they get on here and rant to a camera like I do for an hour, nobody listens because they've never walked the walk. They've never been in the fire. They're reporting on the storm. I've been in the storm.
You got knocked the fuck out, man. Give me my goddamn money. The payback's a motherfucker, ain't it?
Joe Rogan hasn't been the storm, but he's witnessed more storms than anybody in the world. He's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's also an inspiration to millions and millions of people. He's also made millions, hundreds of $1 million off of podcasts. He's an entrepreneur. These other guys work for the man because they have to, because they don't have talent, they don't have creativity, they don't have the work ethic to hang with guys like me and Joe Rogan.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Brendan, you said you were...
How are you? Yeah, I'm always scared to interview with you.
Why?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Look at this guy, this numbskull right here. And so I know a lot of you want me to respond to Brendan Schaub on his show. A great soliloquy, a great rant, 10 or so minutes. Thank you to the PF Chang's crew for the clip. I would never know otherwise, of course. Why would we know? We don't check social media, right? We don't know what's going on. And, you know, it's like one of those things. It's like, again, do I have to go over this? Again, do we have to talk about this? It's the subtle, not so subtle shots. It's the passive aggressive. It's the quick mentioning of the name. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to drum it up all over again. But then there's a bigger part of me that is tired of the bullies, tired of the BS artists, tired of the fake people. And so I kind of feel compelled, if I may, on behalf of the MMA community, to speak up. And if I may, and they haven't asked me to do this, to perhaps, I don't know, defend our honor. And so I came away from that little clip with a few conclusions. Number one, the biggest one was this man legitimately thinks that he is better than us. I want you guys to realize that. This man thinks he's better than us. And when I say us, I don't just mean me. I don't just mean the MMA media. I mean you as well. Watch the demeanor. Listen to the words. This man thinks that he is better than us. And he's sitting back and he is talking about, you know, having talent, not having talent, careers, money, jobs, places in life, pecking orders, what you've done, what you haven't done, and casting all kinds of conclusions on people, all kinds of aspersions, all kinds of fabrications on people when really, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. And he sits there and he talks about how he wants to be positive, and he talks about how he wants to, you know, have a good, peaceful life. Meanwhile, this is the guy who's been talking shit for the past 5 years. This is the guy who is literally sitting there while talking about being positive, insulting MMA media, saying that they're irrelevant, calling them hacks, while saying that he wants to be positive. This is the guy who, after 5 years of listening to his lies about not just me, but others as well, finally made me snap. Don't get it twisted. This is not a positive fellow. Don't fall for it. It's, again, fake and phony. And now I can't wait to see who calls me, who texts me this time to say, hey, we want to be friends, Olive Branch, and then not follow through. Because last time it was Brian. The first time it was Brendan. Who's going to follow up this time? Is it Shrimp? Is he going to follow up? I'm tired of the fakeness. And all I said was, all you guys had to do was apologize cleanly once and for all, and this would be over. I wouldn't keep bringing it up. In fact, I'd probably ignore the question like I ignore some of the other questions that people try to get me to answer that are, you know, scraping the bottom of the barrel. But you don't. You make it worse. You sit there and you talk about how MMA media are a bunch of hacks. You sit there and you talk about how MMA media are a bunch of losers who never walked into the fire, who are just weathermen, who have no talent. First of all, let me explain something to all the fighters, all the managers, all the promoters, all the hanger-ons, all the sisters, all the brothers, all the mothers, all the fathers involved in MMA, in the MMA community. Let me be very, very clear about something right here and now, because we've heard it since the beginning of time. We've heard it since we all started. MMA media are hacks. They're losers. They can't hang. They don't know what they're doing. These are the men and women who have devoted their lives in some way, shape, or form to covering you. They're the ones who have told editors, hey, you should focus on this sport. You should focus on these fights, on these fighters, on these organizations. We're usually the first to go, believe it or not. But these are the people that focus on you and cover you and think and talk about you 24/7. It's not the other media that you wish you were covered by. Trust me, I just came from the mainstream. They don't know you like we know you. They don't care about you like we care about you. They don't follow you and cover you like we do. And so whenever you guys talk about MMA media being hacks, what does that say about you? What does that say about you when the people who have devoted their lives to covering you are the hacks, are the losers? What does that say about you? Think about what you're saying about yourself. These are the ones covering you. Do people talk about that in other beats? Oh, the baseball media. Yeah, of course, you may not like someone here or there. You may not be on the same page. But we hear this time and again from these people. Oh, they're hacks. They're this, they're that. They've never been through the fire. Meanwhile, not every political reporter has run for president. Not every film critic has made a movie. Not every restaurant critic has run a restaurant. It's a tired, lazy, BS excuse to hide from the other stuff. And you talk about these op-ed pieces. So there was this piece in Bloody Elbow about Joe Rogan. First of all, I don't agree with the piece. I think Joe Rogan is a valued member. I think he's an important part of the sport. I think he should be in a Hall of Fame. He has done a tremendous amount of good for the sport. I have no issues with Joe Rogan's place in the sport. My only issue is the one that I said back in the day, 2016, when he spread the lie, and I'm over it. I don't care. Honestly. My uncle goes on his show. It's all good. But this article was saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from the broadcast. Now,
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't agree with that. I think the way they use him is perfect. 12 shows, it's perfect. Pay-per-views, it feels like a big deal. He's a star. He's one of the biggest comics in the world, one of the biggest podcasters in the world. It makes sense. He was there in the dark days. He's there now. He loves the sport. And then for 35 other events, or whatever the number is, 31 events, you get Bisping and you get DC and you get Paul Felder and you get Dominic Cruz and you get, obviously Anik and Brendan Fitzgerald and John Gooden and Laura Sanko. I mean, you get the best of the best. So I don't agree with it. But every time there's an opinion piece, they're like, this isn't journalism. First of all, you talk about people who don't know what you've been through. Who are you to talk about journalism? What the hell do you know about journalism? Because you sit in front of a microphone? You know about journalism? Because you've been interviewed by people you know about journalism? You don't.
I'm not a journalist. I'm a personality with very strong opinions. Ariel is our, Dan Patrick. He's the best we have as far as journalists goes. He's so damn good. I thought, and it also validates Showtime having him part of that.
Absolutely.
So I thought it would have been a great dynamic. And Ariel doesn't agree with everything I say. But he has some facts to back it up. So we'd have had a good conversation. I would have loved that.
And if you did, you would know that since the beginning of time, since the beginning of media, since the beginning of papers, newspapers, internet, radio, the op-ed piece, the opinion piece, the column has been a part of journalism. Everyone knows that there's opinion pieces in the paper. There's straight newsers in the paper. There's something for everyone. And so what's the difference? We're not allowed to have an opinion? That's a part of covering the sport. So you dismiss this like it's like, oh, that's not journalism. That's not this. Of course. It is journalism. It's a part of journalism. Talk about the hacks. Talk about the guys, who need to talk about you guys for clicks. First of all, they were talking about Rogan. They weren't talking about you. He has the talent you don't. Let's just call it like it is. He's the guy with the $200 million Spotify deal. You don't. And so don't lump yourself in on that fight. I think it's honorable. I will say, I think it's honorable. The loyalty is nice. I will say that from the bottom of my heart. I like a guy who has a guy's back. Pause. But you know what I'm saying. I like a guy who defends the honor of his friend. You know what I'm saying? I respect that. Much respect. Honestly. But this had nothing to do with you. And you use this article as an opportunity to take shots on a bunch of people. And if I'm being honest, it felt like you were just talking about me. And that's why I'm spending so much time at the end of the show about this. And so let me clear up something right here and now for the final time, because it will be brought up over and over again, and it will still probably be brought up. I have never, in my life, in media, going on 15 years of doing this, I have never had a conversation with an editor, with a website, where someone told me about clicks. Write about this, write about that. I've never been paid off of clicks. I've never been asked to make headlines that are click-worthy, clickbaity. These detractors, these naysayers, love to talk about the clicks and how we write stuff for. No one cares about that. You think that Joe Rogan piece is going to break the bank? You think it's going to change the future of Bloody Elbow, of Vox Media? By the way, Vox owns Bloody Elbow. I don't have anything to do with them, but hey, sister site. You think that changes anything? It doesn't. Stop saying that. And even if it did, you're in the pay-per-view business. You're in the ticket selling business. You're in the podcast business. People in the newspaper business, what do you think? They did things like just for the, sake of it, out of the goodness of their heart? Of course, everyone's here to make money. So like when you use that as a reason to hate on something, it's A, inaccurate, and B, stupid, because it's actually, the complete opposite of how people run business. People try to sell things the same way you try to sell merch to no one and rip off logos of other people, the same way you try to sell, comedy tickets to no one, and then they have to combine the days. The same way you try to put up podcasts to no one and pay for views and downloads. It's the same thing. You would like to have those clicks. You would like to have those listens. You would like to have those dollars and cents, but you don't. And the issue is we're all in this to make money, but no one has ever said do this or that in order to get some clicks. Now, there were a couple pot shots at me that I must address. The jobs. How many jobs have you been fired from? How many jobs have you had? Again, I wish he would just at me. I wish he would just, say my name directly, but, I don't know. Maybe Helwani is too tough to say in a soliloquy like that. Let's correct the record. I've only been fired from one official job, and that was the Fox job. You know what happened there. You know that had nothing to do with me. You know they paid me for the rest of the year, and you know the reason why I was let go was because the UFC told them to let me go. Now, you could bring up the Showtime gig as well. That was a 3-day gig. It was a 1-week gig. They paid me out as well, and that, again, was because of the UFC. Other than that, I have stood the test of time. And if you want to call up Bristol, Connecticut right now and ask them about the contract they offered me, go ahead. I was not fired. Now let's talk about you. College football, how'd that go? How'd NFL go? How did fighting go? How did comedy go? How did podcasting go? How did TV go? Did you achieve your goals? Did you realize your dreams? Did you make it to the top?
No.
Was your claim to fame being told by your friend that it was time to move on and it was a great moment? I mean, we talked about it on this show. He put you over. You were the biggest baby face in the biz. You had it. Silver platter. You had it. You were going after everyone. You were on this show, that show. You were the guy, the truth teller. But how did those gigs go? And how are they going now? Don't talk about other people's jobs. Again, you do this fake gimmick where you're like, oh, holier than thou. I just sit back and I stay in my lane. I don't read anything. You do that whole gimmick. Meanwhile, you read everything. You're affected by everything. And then you throw these pot shots. Those who live in glass houses should not throw any kind of stone, ever. And right now, that glass house is, I mean, it is right there. Wherever that, I mean, it is sitting right there. Don't talk about people's jobs. That's how we got into this mess. Don't talk about people's livelihoods when you don't know. Again, you keep doubling down. You'll text me and you'll apologize, and then you'll keep talking about it again. And so the bottom line is, tired of people like you spitting lies, BSing us all, pretending like you know what you're talking about. There's a reason I never spoke about you for 5-6 years. I never responded to you. I don't need to. You talk about how I need to have 17 guests or so on my show. First of all, 5 today, and they were great. 6 if you count Pitbull. I love talking to these people. There's a reason why when I went to ESPN, they wanted to do Ariel and the Bad Guy, and DC and Helwani, and actually the biggest point of contention between us was that I wanted to talk to too many people. If you look at the YouTube numbers on the nose, this segment does better than most of the fighters. But I love talking to the fighters. It's all about the fighters. It will always be about the fighters. So you can make fun all you want that I get 17 guests on my show, that I need these guests to get over, to get views, and that, oh, if we talk about you, that's how we get. I never uttered your name. I never said a word about you. You're the one who keeps talking about us. You're the one who keeps sitting there looking at the websites when your boy pulls them up and talking about us. And then you steal our ideas and our contents. You do it to Luke. You do it to Brian. You do it to me. You do it to everyone. You steal our ideas and you sit there and you pass them off as your own, and you even botch it when you do it. You botch it when you do it every single time. You sit there and you rip off our ideas. It's plagiarism 101, except you're not writing anything. You're saying it, and it's harder to catch that way. But trust me, we're all onto you. You sit there and you talk about Tyson Fury being your favorite fighter, and then you say that you want to slit your wrist when you hear about mental health in Tyson Fury.
Giving it the big until they get slapped in the mouth. Good up, Dosser.
You truly love Tyson Fury, you fake phony. You care about his struggles with mental health. So you could say all that you want about the 17 guests. You could say all that you want about the fighters. I love talking to the fighters. I will always love talking about the fighters. And at least I don't pay them to come on my show. At least I don't have to pay them to come hang out and eat a taco with me. And at least I don't have them say, hey, you got to do this show if you want to do this show. You know what I'm talking about. If you want to shoot, we'll shoot. Stop talking about things when you're living in a glass house and you have no idea what is going on.
Is he fucking awesome?
If the knock that you have against me is that I have 17 guests on the show when I don't, but I have fighters on the show, big names, small names, middle names, medium names, God bless. But at least I don't pay them to come on, and at least I don't try to cut deals from one show to the next. And in conclusion, I'll just say, and this is a shout out to my friends over on the internet, the PF Chang's community, the homeless cat community. And this is a message to everyone in the back over there. This is a message to any friend I have, to any family member I have, to any colleague that I have, to any associate that I have. If it ever gets to the point where I am big enough to where there is a Reddit page, any kind of web page, made in my honor to celebrate my show, where they only talk about the podcast, if it ever gets to that point, congratulate me. But please, do me a favor. Please, bottom of the heart, do me this favor. If it ever gets to that point where there's 40,000 or so people whose sole mission is to expose you and to call you out on your BS, please tell me to stop. Your own community turned on you. Your own community figured you out. And we know you're rattled by it. And I'm not a proponent of online bullying. But dare I say you brought this unto yourself, my man. You brought this upon yourself. One more time. Stop talking about me. Stop with the fake apologies. Just, you did it well the last couple of weeks. You didn't bring it up. You stayed in your lane. You were in the storm. We were reporting on the storm. Better that way. Joe Rogan doesn't need you to fight his battles. Do your thing. God bless. Stay in your lane. Do your shows. I wish you nothing but the best. But stop talking about me and the MMA media. Stop lying about the business, people's jobs, the fighters. Stop all of that. And again, I'll say I'm done. Until the next time, unless you want to just apologize once and for all on the air, like you said you were going to do, like you promised me that you were going to do, like Brian Callen said he was going to do and never did. If you guys want to do that, then that would be great. And I would be here to accept said apology. And so to go back to the original question, why I posted that screenshot. F Brendan Schaub. F the fighter and the kid. F below the belt. F that whole crew.
He should have killed me when he had the chance, because now I'm back and I'm going to kill you and your whole team. You and them kids.
And if you do want to be down with them, then F you too. Brian Callen, F you too. Shrimp, F you too. Dude in the back with the websites, F you too. When I see them, they run. Okay, now I won't stop with the analogies, but you get the point. F all those guys. I'm done with them. Again. Once and for all, stop talking about us. We are done. And so that's my piece on that. Shout out to Omar. And it's crazy that I said it the first time. And then, may you rest in peace. But I will remind you guys, it's not a gimmick, it's a lifestyle. If you come at the king, you best not miss. Once again, I don't care who you are. And you could stay in my good graces, you could stay awfully quiet, but you best not miss. And this guy and these guys, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, continue to miss. Clank, 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 clank. They continue to miss. Stop shooting. We're good. God bless. Enough. It feels good to say, look, I got nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not a liar. I don't make up things about people. I don't look down on people. Remember these people. They look down on you. They are not your equal in their minds. You're better than all of them. But remember that. They look down on you. They think they're better than you because you haven't walked the fire. You haven't been in the flames. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Hey, get the fuck out of here because I'm gonna fuck you out right now, motherfucker.
Get out of here with that nonsense. And if you were smart, you would leave the comedy bits to the comedians. And if you were smart, you would leave the MMA talk to the actual people who care about the sport, who love the sport, who actually watch the fights. Go do the other stuff. Go do the 50-seat amphitheater that you do. Go do the little comedy club. Go do the 2-for-1 specials. No one will miss you because no one wants that negativity. Your fake positivity, which is really negativity, no one wants that in their lives. Stop talking about us. Done. Once and for all. Can we end this right now? Can we end this right now? Are we done? I hope so.
No one would sit around and listen to any of them, any of the media, if they didn't have guests on. And the reason why they have guests on is because they're backed by an actual MMA website. So when the MMA website comes to them, comes to the fighters and says, hey, can we get you on our show? That MMA website has a little bit of pull. It's not because of the person that is there doing the interviews. Maybe it is a little bit now because of Ariel being a freelance guy, but he still works for, like he said, like he works for the man. And I'm not just talking about Ariel. I'm talking about all the other media websites or all the other media journalists. They all work for somebody. I don't work for the man. I work for myself. No one tells me what my schedule is. I make my own schedule. I grind myself. And Joe does that. He talks about it all the time. He's like, fuck, man. I get up every morning at 5 or 6 or whatever, do my sauna, do my routine, do my shows, do whatever it is I want to do. He works for himself. None of those other reporters can say that. They can talk like they do, but they don't. They work for that website that is employing them.
Sports media type people. I have no hate towards Big John and Josh Thompson. People tell me that they talk shite about me, but if I'm being honest, my threshold for listening to a podcast has to be you have to have more than 5,000 listeners. So once they reach that point, then I'll start listening to them.
Hold on. So he won't even listen to theirs, but he's on ours. So you don't understand. They keep talking shit about us. It's like water off a duck's back. You know what I mean? I refuse to acknowledge.
I would say to them, stop talking shit about everyone. Do your thing. Everyone wins. There's enough for all of us to eat. It's a weird approach to be sitting around and talking smack. I have a lot of respect for John. He's a legend, a pioneer, trailblazer. Josh is a legend in his own right. Like, I don't get it. But anyway, back to the question.
Drama show, big drama show. All the time.
It's Nick Diaz Army, motherfuckers.